Hi guys, it's Will here back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 92 from Salt Lake City in Utah as the UFC head there for the very first time. And a very interesting main event. When I first heard this was going to be a main event, I was like, really? But see, when you look into this, it's a really fun matchup. Yair Rodriquez against Alex Caceres in the main event. A lot of kind of newcomers on this card right at the bottom end. A lot of kind of prospects coming up through as well. Looking forward to kind of breaking that one down. As always, you can find me on Twitter, WillMartinMMA. And as always, please follow the guys down below me. Dan Levy had a great time at UFC 201 last week in his hometown. Flying Brian makes great stuff out there. Same with Rockstar Z. Severe MMA for all the news, especially with UFC 202 coming up. You'll want to go and follow those guys. Listen to the podcast. Talking Brawls MMA, a one that's on Severe MMA as well with Niall McGrath and Pete Sicaro. Great stuff, great laugh, great interviews. And James Lynch for all your interviews. If you are a lot of the newcomers that are coming into the UFC here, he has interviews with them and that really interesting. And with the Vancouver Corp as well, there's some new guys coming in there from Canada. So please go and check those guys out. The links are at the bottom. Go show your support for those guys as well. So let's get into this card. Overall, a pretty decent, an alright card. I like having newcomers come in, fresh blood, seeing what they're all about. But we're going to start in the heavyweight division as we have Chase Sherman facing off against Justin Leites. Watched some tape of these guys the last few days. Kind of watched it again today to just kind of jog my memory a little bit. And first thoughts is that Chase Sherman really hasn't faced anybody of any significant. Both guys really haven't faced anyone with any significant experience by them. Jack May, who Sherman fought, is a guy who's in the UFC. He's only 2 losses in the UFC. I think Derek Lewis, and I can't remember the other guy who it was, but I think he got knocked out. And Chase Sherman, a guy, big power, comes forward and just looks to land shots. He's got a really, actually, quite a nice kind of kickboxing style. He's not particularly good at anything he just doesn't, he's kind of mediocre and everything. Good kicker. I think it's hard to, I'm trying to say he's decent, but it's just the opposition that he's faced. The guys that he's faced are like really small guys, stocky guys, got nothing behind them. His win over May, you can't really take anything from that fight because May threw a kick and I think he blew his leg out, broke a bone there. That was his step up, and we never really seen much of it. Sammy Collingwood caught him with a nice check right hook, not hit him straight in the nose, put him down. His only loss is to Alex Nicholson, who's down at light heavyweight here. He got caught. He was actually controlling that fight pretty good. Had him down there, had some ground and pound. Alex Nicholson got back to his feet, and then like Nicholson seems to do in all these fights, catch with a spinning back fist. I thought it was stopped a little bit early, personally. But an alright prospect to come into the heavyweight division. I say he trained a little bit at Rufus Sport. He trains at Alan Belcher MMA, so he will have a good boxing background because Alan Belcher was a very good kickboxer coming out of Rufus Sport, and I know he's trained with a few people out of there. So yeah, Justin Leites, a boxer by trade out of Georgia. Georgia boxing, I watched that a long time ago. I think it was 2012. He went for the championship there. Fights out of Houston, Texas, and he's got kind of punch-ons for submissions. But when I watched the guy, I wasn't really impressed with him. I think his last fight was 228 he weighed in at, so he's not a heavyweight. He should drop down to 205. I think in this one, his boxing is pretty good, to be fair, but I think that Sherman has the bigger power. Big leg kicks. He stopped a guy with leg kicks as well, I remember. I like Chase Sherman in this one. I think he's going to come out early, come out quick. He's never been into the second round. He lost in the first round, and all of his 9 wins are in the first round. I think he could catch the date with a big shot and knock him out, but my pick's going to be Chase Sherman via TKO round number 1. The UFC Fight Pass featured bout is Cub Swanson against Tatsuya Kawajiri. Really like this matchup for Cub Swanson. I think Tatsuya Kawajiri, we all know what Tatsuya is going to come and do here, the Crusher. He's going to come forward, he's going to try and get you to down and blanket you, and that's it. His striking is okay, he's getting slower, you can see it. Bermudez, he was just a little bit slower against the guy who is fairly quick, and honestly. But Cub Swanson is a guy, I think he can knock Kawajiri out here. Kawajiri is known for a kind of iron chin, taking a lot of shots. But I think that this is the perfect opportunity here for Cub Swanson to really knock Kawajiri out. I mean, he had a similar type of opponent in Hakran Diaz last time out. Diaz gave him a bit more problems. I cannot see Kawajiri, not unless he gets him down, and he hasn't been training his defense and anything at all. I like Cub Swanson in this one. I like him. I think his quickness is going to show, and his technical boxing is going to show, and he can knock out Tatsuya Kawajiri. So I'm going to go probably in the second half of the fight, towards the end of round 2, maybe early round 3. I like Cub Swanson. I like him via TKO. I'm going to go end of round 2. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 fights here. Teruto Ishihara against Horacio Gutierrez. This is a fight for Ishihara, who is one of the funniest guys you can follow on social media. If you don't do it, go and do it. Trains at Team Alpha Male now. He loves the bitches, and he's just a pretty fun guy. I actually follow him on Snapchat, and some of the stuff that guy gets up to is batshit crazy. I mean, he likes to party, but you always see a lot of his training as well, so he works himself hard, and I like that he's at Team Alpha Male, because he is training with a legit bunch of killers, especially in those lower weight classes where they're known to be really, really hard and top talented fighters as well. I mean, last time out he blasted Julian Erosa in round number 2, knocked him out there. Hirota was an all action fight. He's just a really fun fighter to watch, and I think this fight is a little bit of a gimme here. Gutierrez appeared on the TUF show, Latino America show, lost last time out to Enrique Barzola, who I don't think is overly good either. So this should be a kind of, you would have thought against Erosa, maybe get a step up. I think Erosa would beat Gutierrez personally, so this should be fairly convincing for Ishihara here, and I think he can stop the fight as well. I like another TKO finish. I think his power and his speed kind of will just be too much for Gutierrez, but being that Mexican, I think he's a Mexican. Tough guys, hard guys to put away. We've seen that with Rivera at the weekend there. Just they're really tough to put away. I like Ishihara in this one. I'm going to go via TKO. I'm going to go in round number 2 again. I'm going to go early round number 2. I like Ishihara big in that one. Next up, a fight I'm looking forward to seeing, David Teymur against Jason Novelli. We'll talk about the newcomer here, and Jason Novelli, 37 years old, so an old guy to making their debut in the UFC, but he debuted in 2005, left the sport for 8 years, and came back, had a pretty exciting fight last time out against ex-UFC veteran Yostina Cedeno. He had a huge reach advantage in that fight. I think it was like 11 or 12 inch reach advantage, and he used it fairly well with a nice tight right hook that really hit Cedeno. I think he hit him with it a couple of times. He did leave his chin in there, and he got clocked by Cedeno in that as well. Really nice kickboxer, really nice Muay Thai skills. Comes forward, pretty dangerous in the clinch, throws a lot of knees. And when he goes to the ground, he's pretty decent down there as well. He will look for triangles down there, and he's got a pretty good grip with a guillotine as well. A nice fighter coming to UFC. I think he's 11-1-1, and this is a really kind of interesting matchup here with David Teymur, because I heard about David Teymur about 2 years ago. Him and his twin brother from a good guy over here in the MMA scene who makes fights. He gave me a lot of fighters to keep my eye on, and actually he said his brother was really, really good, and David's turned out he's going to be a pretty good fighter himself. But David Teymur won his UFC debut against Marcin Swanson. What I like about this matchup is Novelli hasn't got that reach advantage. He has got like a 4-inch reach advantage, but David Teymur faced a pretty lanky opponent with a reach advantage last time in Marcin Swanson. Jason Novelli is a lot more athletic fighter, not as awkward as Marcin Swanson is, and David Teymur caught him with a beautiful uppercut. He sprawled really well. Swanson went for takedowns, sprawled really well, got it back to the feet where he was quicker, just more athletic, and he caught him with a beautiful right uppercut as Swanson was coming in, and put him to sleep there. A really fun guy. I think his cardio is really good as well. One thing to notice in this fight as well, that it's 4,000 feet above sea level, so the gas tanks could come in handy for this here. And I like Teymur. We've seen on the show, he goes, and he's a hard hitter. He's just a tough guy to really get on top of and dominate. I like David Teymur on this one, and I like him. I think this will be the first one to go decision, but it could get quite sloppy towards the end. But I think Novelli's tough enough to stick around, so I'm going to go David Teymur via decision. Heavyweight division with Viktor Pesta against Marcin Tybura. Both pretty evenly matched guys, but I think the experience of Marcin Tybura here is going to be beneficial, very much so. I mean, I was praising him pretty highly coming into the UFC. He's a fight I've watched for a long time in the Polish MMA scene, and he came in against Timothy Johnson, who was at the time a really tough opponent to have. I thought he would have beat him. Turns out he didn't. Just Johnson was too big for him there. Both these guys here, same height, same kind of weights. I think Tybura is the heavier fighter, but he is going to want to look to put the fight on the ground and use his submissions from there. He's got some really decent trips up against the cage. Once he gets those hands locked, you're going for a ride. I like his submission skills when he gets down there. I think he's got the nerves out of the way. He's going to come forward here. We're going to see what Marcin Tybura is, because I've been rating him up pretty highly. We will see here. Viktor Pesta, 1-2 in the UFC, with losses to Ruslan Magomedov and Derek Lewis. So good guys. I'm not really sold on Derek Lewis yet. Magomedov, on the other hand, I am pretty sold. I think he's going to be a tough guy in that division to beat. With his only winner coming against Konstantin Arokin, and that's really not saying anything. Arokin was one of the worst kind of heavyweights I've ever seen in the UFC, and that's up there with Ruan Potts and everybody else. Never showed his potential and was probably on something, and he got kicked out of the UFC fairly quick once they found out that he wasn't something. Plus he was on a 2-fight win streak. I just think that Tybura is a little bit better everywhere. Pesta is a little bit longer, but I think the more powerful fighter is definitely Marcin Tybura. I think once he gets it to the ground, his experience of being in those fights with probably bigger guys as well than what Pesta has faced, except for the exception of Lewis, will show in this one, and I expect him to really get a finish here. But Pesta is tough. He's a very durable guy, but my pick will be Marcin Tybura via submission in round number 3. Moving on, we are in the welterweight division for the featured fight in the Fox Sports 1 card. We have McGee against Dominique Steele. This is a fun fight. This is a fight that I've been going back and forward on a little bit, because Dominique Steele at UFC 197 really impressed me. You know what, the guy, I've seen him around the arena, and this guy is funny as shit. He is really funny. I mean, after the weigh-ins, he came outside and he's wearing these big ass white socks in Las Vegas, which was just ridiculous to me, and wearing a hard hat, and he had a hammer in his hand, which was just it was weird, but he was a really nice guy to talk to. And in the fight against Danny Roberts, there was a good chance he could have got that victory. I felt a little bit sorry for him in that one, because I thought he should have maybe got the nod. I was happy that Danny Roberts got it personally, because I like seeing the European guys come and get wins over there. He never showed what he can show, and hopefully does that in the future. But Dominique Steele, very gritty, likes to just slug it out. I think he's got a little bit of a chin issue still. We've seen that in the fight against Cummings when he came in his debut. I think if you catch his chin, he will go down. But if this guy gets on top, he's a really tough guy to get off and look for the takedown. If he gets a single leg, he's got a really good single leg takedown as well. Striking's ever improving, but a very powerful guy, and I think he will provide a tough matchup here for McGee. McGee coming off that loss to Santiago Ponzinibbio, who I think is also fighting this card here. He is tough guy, but he might be kind of weighing a little bit now, because he has lost 2 of his last 3 fights with that win against Marcel Alexander Jr. Before that, he beat Josh Neer and Robert Whittaker via a very close split decision. But he might be waning a little bit, and this is why I'm thinking about betting Dominique Steele. I think he's a live dog in this fight. But the reason I'm not going to pick him is because it's in Utah, so this guy's used to training at this. He trains at Pit Elevate, so he's used to training at this kind of conditions all the time. He's at home. This is going to be one of the biggest fights the guy probably ever has been in his hometown. I wouldn't, if you want to bet a dog in this card, I don't think Dominique Steele is a bad fighter to really bet in this one. At the minute, there is no line. I thought there was a line for that. No, there seems to not be. But I'm going to go Court McGee. But in Countmaster, I'll probably pick Dominique Steele, just because of the fact I think he has a chance to win this fight. But my pick will be Court McGee via a very hard-nosed decision. Moving on to the main card, women's strawweight division. I was looking forward to this fight when Justine Kish was in it. Maryna Moroz, who now faces Danielle Taylor. Kish against Moroz would have been a good fight. I'll talk about the newcomer here, Danielle Taylor, 5-1 record, fighting out of the Shushkin Muay Thai team. Very small, a very small strawweight, like pretty much a natural strawweight. She's literally just on 5 foot, no more. She has like a 57-inch reach, a 58-inch reach, sorry, which is nothing. She has very fast hands though, and once she explodes for a takedown, because she's so low, she hits it very, very easily. But she has been facing girls which aren't great really, and she's against a girl here who's going to have all the advantages: experience, height, reach, and Danielle Taylor has been knocked out cold. Jamie Cullen knocked her out. She just came in reckless and got hit with a huge right hand, and literally one shot hit a quitter, was knocked out. With the leverage that Maryna Moroz has and the pretty decent boxing that she has, she could do the same here. Danielle Taylor's going to have to come into her space here to really take her down, or get some shots off to the body, maybe throw a 1-2 to body head. And I just don't see it in this one. I think once it goes to the ground, Moroz is so long down there, she can catch submissions, like she against Jojo Calderwood. I think Moroz, this is a matchup that she really should finish. If she doesn't, she's not going to get a better opportunity for stopping a girl, a newcomer coming in short notice, small. She has to come in to Maryna Moroz to really affect this fight here. Moroz coming off that win over Stanshu a couple of months back. This should be a fight that Maryna Moroz should win fairly convincingly, should get a finish, possible lock on DraftKings, but the girls, you never know. Maryna Moroz, I'm going to go a TKO in round number 1. Yeah, round number 1. Next up, middleweight division, a fight I'm really looking forward to seeing. Trevor Smith against Joe Gigliotti. Gigliotti's a guy I've been looking forward to seeing in the UFC. I think he's a little bit undersized as a middleweight. He's only like 5'9", pretty stocky dude, but the guy's got some legit skills. Trains out of Power MMA and has a really vicious right hook, and he's got a choke. He's got some legit jiu-jitsu skills. Once he gets that choke on, like he did it against John Poppy, he literally came out that fight at the RFA not too long ago, came out and hit Poppy with a huge right hand, followed it up, went to the ground, looked for the submission, and he was a little bit patient with it. Once he got it in there, he just wasn't letting John Poppy go, and Poppy did well to get back to his feet, got dragged back down, but that choke is legit. He's got some really legit skills down there, and he's just a powerful, fast, stocky dude, and he's got a nice step up here against Trevor Smith, who is a guy I haven't seen. I met him last year in Vegas. Really nice guy, him and his family really nice, but hasn't fought in over a year, and I'm just not a fan of that at all. And he's trading wins and losses, and his wins that he has in the UFC are against people who are no longer even in the sport, I believe. So, I mean, he beat Dan Miller, no longer in the sport. Kyle Magalhaes, tough guy, got knocked out big time there. Tortroying, retired. Thales Leites, legit guy, got TKO'd in that one. Brian Houston, I don't think he fights anymore. If he does, it's at a very low level. Lost to Ed Herman, lost to Tim Kennedy way back in the Strikeforce in his early UFC days. A pretty good, well-rounded guy everywhere, but he's trading wins and losses, and he has had his chin checked in this one. Joe Gigliotti is, let's see what his odds are already, because I was thinking about him. I can get him for -110, and if that stays like that, I may throw a unit on him in this one, because I think he's got a really good opportunity on the feet here. I think once it goes to the ground, he can beat Trevor Smith. Just think he's faster, hits harder, and he will have the cardio. Trevor Smith, I don't think, has that over the 3 rounds. I don't think that will stay with him. So my pick's going to be Joe Gigliotti via TKO I think you could catch him early. I'm going to go into round 3 though, once Trevor Smith starts to really slow himself down. So Gigliotti, third round TKO in that one there. Moving on, a really interesting matchup, and I will be betting this fight as I stand at the minute. Santiago Ponzinibbio against Zach Cummings. Very close fight, good matchmaking, in fact, really good matchmaking. Two guys who have won 4 of the last 5 fights. Zach Cummings has really, really impressed me recently. The team that he trains out of, Glory MMA, is a team that, an up-and-coming team I really like. Tim Elliott, James Krause, Megan Anderson, who fought at the weekend and absolutely destroyed Peggy Morgan. Just a really legit, and Grant Dawson, who's yet to be in the UFC, is a guy that if you don't know who he is, go and check this guy out. He will be in the UFC very, very soon. But his skills are really coming together. A pleasure of a man to meet him in Dublin. But he's starting to put everything together, and he's a really dangerous guy. I thought his performance against Nicholas Dalby earlier on this year was a really, in Croatia, was a really polished performance, and just he seems to just be putting everything together. Stopped the takedowns of Dalby, kept on the feet. He hit harder than Dalby. I think he was a bit longer than Dalby. Kept him on that jab and clinched up with him a little bit as well, and just went out and really won that fight. Dominique Steele just blasted him. Even Gunnar Nelson, he took that first round against Gunnar Nelson. I saw it with my own eyes. And then once Gunnar gets you to the ground, he's just so tough to really get off. Jan Cabral, Ben Alloway won those fights. I like this matchup for him here. Ponzinibbio is another guy that has thoroughly impressed me since he came into the UFC. He's a guy I bigged up quite a lot in my videos. You can go back and watch. And he got off to a little bit of a slow start against Ryan LaFleur. Oliveira was expected to knock him out. Sean Strickland, a big win. Strickland's a guy who's coming through. Beat Tom Breeze, a legit guy. Lawrence Larkin lost via TKO in that one, but came out banging and looked to put an exciting fight and did so. And then his last 2 fights against Andreas Stahl and Court McGee, he's come out and he showed that speed, the hard-nosed approach that he's got. But I like Zach Cummings as a well-rounded fighter here. I think it's pretty even. I think Santiago definitely hits harder. Cummings is probably a little bit more kind of technical. But I just like the well-roundedness of Zach Cummings in this fight. I think it's a good time to... It's a legit step up here and facing Santiago Ponzinibbio, who is streaking himself. But I'm going to go a very close fight. But I like Zach Cummings, and he's at 160 right now. And if that goes further up, I think I may have to throw some money on. So probably one of my bets for this week as an underdog pick, yes, is 160, will be Zach Cummings. I'm going to go via decision. Moving on, Thales Leites against Chris Camozzi. Another interesting fight I'm looking at very closely, betting wise. Because I think Leites, he might be on his way kind of down the slippery slope, looking towards retirement. I mean, he's 36 years old. He had that second run in the UFC where he faced Michael Bisping in Glasgow. Could have won that one, excuse me. Could have won that one. It was a very close fight, and we see what Michael Bisping's went on did since, beating Anderson Silva and Luke Rockhold, now the champion. But gave a thoroughly good performance for himself in that fight there. But he's come off that fight. He followed that up with a loss against Gegard Mousasi, where he just kind of got decimated in that fight. The technical superiority of Gegard Mousasi really showed, and he kind of beat him up in that one. Chris Camozzi is a guy who really interests me. And he's come back into the UFC and he's looked very, very good. He's starting to put all that, he's put all facets of his game together. He came back in obviously against Jacare, and that was just, he's never going to be in that league of beating Jacare Souza. Beat Tom Nodes, as a tough guy. Joe Riggs knocked him out with a beautiful knee, and then a really, really good performance against Vito Miranda. Stood and banged with Vito Miranda a little bit, took it to the ground as well. And just put all of those skills together, and really looked impressive in that fight. Miranda did fade out, like I said in the video for that fight card, Almeida Garbrandt, that he would do that. But he's coming forward here and he's looking really good. The one thing that's thrown me off in this fight is Leites, once he gets to the ground, is a really tough guy, heavy guy, good submission skills. and that we've seen that in the Jacare. I think Jacare's maybe a level above Leites. I could be wrong with that one, but that's just my kind of personal view. And he could take Camozzi down, and Camozzi could find it hard off his back to get back up there. But I think over the 3 rounds, I think Camozzi can get it done. I think he can. I think he's a little bit faster on the feet. Leites kind of bangs, he can hit a little bit. But I just like Camozzi as a really good underdog pick here. I think it's a very close 50-50 fight. I think probably 70-80% of kind of all fans will be picking Leites. I'm going to go and pick Chris Camozzi. He's at 175 already. That could hit possibly 190, maybe 200 by the week's end once you get to fight time. I'm hoping. Could be wrong. People might jump on him because he's a dog. My pick's going to be Chris Camozzi. I think it's going to be a very close fight. I'm going to go his way via split decision in that one. The co-main event of the evening, we have Dennis Bermudez against Rony Jason. Bermudez coming off that win over Kawajiri. Jason we haven't seen since, I think he won that fight against Damon Jackson, then got popped for something, so he's been out. He's only fought twice in 2 years. Dennis Bermudez, I mean, I really like watching this guy fight. I think he's a really fun fighter to watch. Him very fast, good technical skills, good wrestling, got those submissions when he wants them. And against Rony Jason here, I think he can take Rony Jason down and have his way with him. Has to be careful because Jason does latch onto submissions very well. This could turn out a little bit of slugfest, and Bermudez, he needs to fight smart in this one because he doesn't really want to do that. Jason can crack a little, and we have seen Bermudez been put down a few times as well. Rony Jason does latch onto a guillotine, so that's something if he's going in for takedowns, not leave his head in there. But I like Dennis Bermudez fairly highly in this one. I'm going to pick him via decision. I think he will constantly take Rony Jason down and just wear him out, and Jason will have nothing once it kind of goes through midway in the second round. So Dennis Bermudez for me via decision. And the main event of the night, we have Yair El Pantera Rodriquez against Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres. Really fun fight. When you go back and watch fights in these guys, really fun kind of to watch. I was very skeptical when I heard this was going to be a main event until I got a little bit there. I kind of started thinking about why would they put Yair Rodriquez in a main event on this. He is a ranked featherweight now, but I saw firsthand in Vegas in April, this guy brings a lot of fans with him. Mexico is getting behind this guy a lot. It was fairly quiet with those guys up until fight time, and then you heard them everywhere. And then after the fight, they had a party in the MGM, and there was Mexicans everywhere, and they were cool. They were a really cool lot of guys to be around. Went up and met Yair, managed to get a picture with him. Really nice guy. But that performance against Andre Fili was exceptional. The knockout, it was one of those things, you hear the noise, it was a crazy noise, and just that massive leaping kick and hit him square in the face, knocked him out. It was a very close fight up until then. I do think Rodriguez was winning, but yeah, a guy who's just everywhere. He does things that not a lot of people do. He takes chances, takes risks, pulls them off. Beat Dan Hooker is another legit guy. Charles Rose is another guy. Very close decision there. But if this guy puts it all together, which he looks like he's doing, he's going to be a really top fighter in that featherweight division. And he's got a guy here, a veteran, against Bruce Leroy, who I thought probably looked as good as he ever did in his last fight against who was it again? Cole Miller. That's the one. UFC 199. So both getting a pretty good turnaround here quite quickly. I like to hear that because Rodriguez, he's a guy who's been prone to injuries in the past, had a few kind of ankle injuries and stuff. But he's on a 2-fight win streak, beat Marcin Fulham pretty convincingly, and then he just really looked great against Cole Miller. I picked Cole Miller on that one, and then right before the fight I'm thinking, why did I pick Cole Miller? Guy who barely fights, been around a long time against a young guy who really needs the win. I know he lost 3 to Rivera, Kanehara and Uriah, but just a kind of all-action kind of fighter, and he's going to keep going for the 5 rounds, and that's something that he can maybe try and exploit going into later rounds. Being at a kind of higher level here, C level, he could use that to his advantage. But I have to go with, I can't not pick Yair Rodriquez in this one. I don't see a definitive advantage for Alex Caceres, probably except for experience and being in a lot of fights in the UFC and such. But Rodriguez, ever since I've seen him in The Ultimate Fighter, he's a guy who has just thoroughly impressed me. And since he's come into the UFC, he's done nothing but do that against tough guys in Rosa and in Dan Hooker. And File as well. Do I see him finishing him? I do. I think once this fight, I think he's going to catch him fairly early. I think he has to, because I think the later the fight goes, I think Caceres comes into it a little bit more. So my pick will be a second round TKO victory for Yair Rodriguez. But this fight could turn out to be really close, kind of if it gets in past the third round. But we will see. A really fun guy to watch, a really fun fight for a main event. So that's my picks for UFC Fight Night 92 from Salt Lake City. Next one we're doing is UFC 202. Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor 2. A pretty loaded card, I must admit. And that main event is, I was one of the ones just like, they're doing that again, really? But you know what? It's the fight to make right now. They both kind of seem to want it. It's a money fight for both guys. But that will be fun to break down. I'm looking forward to doing the video work for that one. So come follow me on Twitter, Will Martin MMA. You can follow my Carpertech plays, my bets at Carpertech, Will Martin 7. And please follow the guys down below me, because we should kind of all support each other here and try and help each other with more views, and just get the reason I make these videos is just to speak with you guys. So leave your comments, leave your picks, and I will get back to you as soon as I can when I'm not working. Enjoy the fights when they come around this upcoming Saturday, and I will see you all next time for UFC 202. Take care and enjoy the fights.